Welcome. This is Wesley Reese, and we are going to be talking about alignment today. In this session, I'm going to start out by talking about what alignment is and what it's not. And then we're going to go into what does it take to be in alignment so that you can bring your best self to your business, to every facet of your life. So in this introduction, I'm going to just give you more of a broad overview so that you can start to gain perspective. And then I'm going to go into the 5 elements of what it means to be in alignment. And here's the reason why, is that I believe there's two key ingredients to be able to achieve your dreams and success and the desires that you have, not just for your business but in life in general. And through the process, you don't want to lose yourself in the minutia of the everyday, of everything that needs to be done and all the efforts that you put into what you're trying to accomplish. It's only going to get you so far. But when you're in alignment, you approach your efforts with so much more ease. And the fruits of that is the fulfillment and the joy that you get from doing what you do in and out of each day. And so it's really bringing your best self to everything that you do, to everyone that you impact. So we're going to get into, after we defined, what alignment is and what it's not, we're actually going to get into the first step of, okay, that sounds great. So where do I start? And so I'm going to be chunking these into shorter videos so that you can digest little bits at a time and really begin to take those steps to really reflect and see, where in your life it is kind of like that gap that you need to address so that you can fill it, have that solid foundation, be in alignment, everything that you do in alignment with who you are and what matters most to you, so that you can elevate and accelerate your successes in your business. So let's begin by talking about what alignment is not. Alignment, the opposite of alignment truly is resistance. And resistance shows up in many different ways, but really resistance is just that limitation or control of someone or something, or that state of being where you're restricting yourself, you're limiting yourself. And so when you're in that restricted state of being, you're really being controlled. And so when you're being controlled, then you're not in control. And so this is not a natural state of being, whether it's in relation to health, relationships, spirituality, finance, business. It's all of it. It affects all of it. And so what is it really? It's really, restriction is a perpendicular approach to flow. And it's when you're really forcing things. You're trying to make things happen that aren't naturally falling into place. So if you really think about it as a river that's being diverted because of a buildup of debris. And that, how does it show up? How does resistance show up? It shows up in that unhealthy kind of fear, that debilitating fear that holds you back. It shows up in overwhelm. It shows up in the form of stress, a form of lack of control, confusion. As far as emotions, it can show up in bitterness, resentment, anger, jealousy. It also shows up in the form of ego. And it can really help, it can really hold you back and get you in this place of stickiness and stuck, because it's a negative emotion. It's easy to get there, but the hardest thing is getting out. And the first step to that is awareness. So when you have these emotions, it's human to have them, but the key is not to let it have you. Really, restrictions a learned behavior and really a response to our world, our environment in which we live. And it is possible that you could have created or developed this learned behavior at some point when you were restricted, coming forth with the fullness of you, and maybe a gift that you had that you weren't allowed to be expressed. And really, we weren't created like that. We were created as human beings in God's perfect image, and in that abundance that's in creation. And so it's really the polar opposite. We were created the polar opposite of restriction. And restriction is just that state of control or limitation where, God's creation is really that state of liberation, of expansion, of enlargement, of freedom. That's how we were created to be. And so that learned model of restriction really causes you to either play it safe rather than operating in your fullest expression, or playing small when you're really know deep down in your core that you were made for so much more. And so think back to maybe an experience that it could be a recent experience where, you could have been bold, you could have been brave, but you didn't want to leave your comfort zone. And you were doing that for whatever reason. It could have been a fear of being judged, or just a fear of being vulnerable. It's real. And so it's really, it becomes hard to learn when you're in a state of restriction, because you're really in just this mode of protecting yourself, playing it safe. And when you're playing small, you're marginalizing yourself. You're diminishing yourself by hiding your gifts and not expressing your thoughts and your feelings and it could be for fear that if you do, you may stand out. You may become a larger target in people's judgment. So when you have restrictive thinking, those limitations and those restrictions on what you believe is possible for your life, and it includes your hopes and your dreams, they just die. So when we have restrictions, whether in our deep down core of being, or whether we have restrictions in connection with other people, our relationships, they just die. And we were created for relationships and to be in relationships. So the first step is really becoming aware of where these restrictions are showing up in your life, reflecting, what's going on when they show up. What was the trigger that may have happened? Ask yourself these questions to really dive deep and figure out, what is that is the reason for that. Your truth is intended to shine through. And like I said, these learned behaviors are something we can unlearn. And so even ask other people, ask close friends, family members, what type of restrictions do they see that you are experiencing, and come from a place of curiosity without judgments, no assumptions whatsoever. And just ask yourself, how else can I think about this? And get curious about other possibilities. And then the next is really to be present and mindful of, as you are going throughout your day, as you are showing up in different aspects of your life, as you're showing up in in your business, how you're showing up for your clients, and really begin to become aware of those thoughts. Because if you're not getting the results that you're aiming for, the source of it is the health of your thoughts. So the more you can become mindful of your thoughts, you're one step closer. And how do you go about that? Just ask yourself your questions. You ask yourself these questions, you elevate your awareness of the health of your thoughts, and you're going to be able to change your life. So let's go into what alignment is. Alignment's really that congruency, that harmony, being in flow, feeling like things are happening naturally the way that they're supposed to. Just imagine, you're you're going along, say, a one-way road, and you have no obstructions in front of you. You're in agreement with the direction that you're going. And so how does this show up? Really, it's when you are in that gap of, where you're at now and where you want to be, the bridge that's going to get there is that faith element, that unwavering faith that you will get to where you're supposed to be, and believe that, even though there's not evidence of it yet, believing that it is possible. Because the first step in that forward progress is believing it's possible. And then as you're gathering evidence, then you believe in more that the outcome is probable. And then as you're seeing that this could really be real, then that outcome that you desire is imminent. And so living in alignment really means that you let go of that control. You let go of that control of the outcome. You're no longer attached to how life or things should be, and you're walking in trust and faith and not by sight. So you're living in alignment with your purpose, and it has nothing to do with fortune and fame and power, recognition. You're pouring your heart and your soul into all that you do, and doing it because it feels right, not because you want to get something out of it. Living in alignment really means that you're in oneness with God, in oneness with Spirit. And what you give, it'll come back to you. So let go of trying to control the outcome. There's a quote that I love. It's by Wayne Dyer. He says, "When I chased after money, I never had enough. When I got my life on purpose and focused on giving myself and everything everything that arrived into my life, and then I was prosperous." So all those nervousness feelings and the butterflies and that adrenaline rush, everything you ever wanted, it's on that other side of that healthy fear. And viewing that fear as healthy because it means that you're growing. You're getting beyond your comfort zone, and you're facing that fear, and you're taking action anyways. And that's how your confidence grows. So, being in flow with what's important to you. What are your values, your decisions, the big ones and the small ones? When your actions are in line with your purpose, what matters most to you, then everything else reveals itself.